Hey there, I'm Emily, and today I want to share a story that forever changed my beliefs, a chilling tale of the supernatural. Once upon a time, the very mention of ghosts or the paranormal would have made me chuckle. I was a skeptic, a non-believer, someone who needed concrete proof before accepting the existence of anything beyond the physical realm. But all that changed when my husband Mark and I embarked on a new journey together. We moved into a beautiful Victorian home on the quaint Maple Street, little knowing that this charming abode had a resident we hadn't bargained for. The house was old, its walls whispering tales of bygone eras. We were thrilled to start our new life in this historical gem. But as we soon discovered, we weren't the only occupants. Once I never believed in ghosts or anything paranormal, but that changed when my husband Mark and I moved into our new Victorian home on Maple Street. About a week after we settled in, the strangeness began. The air in our new home, once filled with the scent of fresh paint and old wood, started to feel different, denser somehow. There was an energy, a peculiar presence that seemed to linger in each room, each corner. It was subtle at first, easy to dismiss as the product of an overactive imagination or the natural quirks of an old house. I remember the first time it happened. I was in the kitchen, unpacking our fancy china. Suddenly the room grew cold, and a soft whisper, like a sigh, filled the air. It was so faint, almost imperceptible, that I thought it was the wind rustling the leaves outside. But then, it happened again, clearer this time, like a hushed conversation from the next room. Over the next few days, the oddities escalated. Objects moved from their original places without any reasonable explanation. A book would be on the coffee table one moment and on the bookshelf the next. Doors creaked open in the middle of the night, and the furniture seemed to rearrange itself when we weren't looking. The most unsettling part was the whispery voice that seemed to follow me around the house. It was soft, almost melodic, yet it carried an undercurrent of sadness. It was a voice that was not of this world, a voice that seemed to echo from a different time. One day, as I was unpacking the last of the boxes, I heard it again. It was as if the voice was right next to me, its breathy tone sending chills down my spine. And then, it said my name. Emily. It was barely a whisper, a breath, but it was unmistakable. That was when I knew we were not alone in our new home. That was when I knew we were sharing our space with the unseen tenant. Determined to find answers, we called in Dr. Eleanor Blackwood, a renowned paranormal investigator. Dr. Blackwood, with her decades of experience in the paranormal field, has worked with numerous cases, some eerily similar to ours. She has a reputation for being thorough and unflappable, even when faced with the most chilling of phenomena. Upon her arrival, she began an extensive exploration of our old Victorian home. With her, she brought an array of equipment, each piece designed to detect and document the presence of paranormal activity. From electromagnetic field detectors to spirit boxes, she was equipped to delve into the unseen. Dr. Blackwood spent hours meticulously examining each room, each corner, and each creaky stair. Her determination was palpable, her focus unwavering. Her goal wasn't just to prove the existence of the paranormal, but to understand it, to communicate with it, and if possible, to help it. She came prepared with her mysterious devices, ready to uncover the truth. As night fell, Dr. Blackwood explained her plan. The house grew quiet, almost eerily so, as if holding its breath. We were to sit in the living room and simply observe until the clock struck 3 in the morning, known as the witching hour in paranormal circles. The time when the veil between our world and the spirit realm is at its thinnest. As the midnight hour approached, the house seemed to stir, a sense of anticipation building within its ancient walls. The flickering of lights began, casting dancing shadows around us. It was as if the house itself was trying to communicate with us, attempting to tell its story through cryptic signs. And then, the temperature plummeted. A chill wind swept through the room, making the curtains flutter and our breaths visible in the air. It was a cold unlike any other, a bone-deep iciness that seemed to seep into our very souls. Dr. Blackwood's devices whirred and beeped, reacting to the sudden change. I felt a shiver of dread, but also a strange excitement. This was it, the moment of truth. I looked to Dr. Blackwood, her face illuminated by the soft glow of her devices. She nodded, her expression serious. We were in the midst of a haunting, and then the whispery voice returned. It was no longer a soft, barely audible murmur. It grew louder, more insistent, echoing through the silent house. "Emily," it repeated over and over like a mantra. The voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, an omnipresent plea that filled the air and our ears. The haunting had intensified, just as Dr. Blackwood had predicted. But this was only the beginning. The unseen tenant was getting bolder, reaching out to us. And we were ready to reach back, to uncover the truth behind the haunting of our Victorian home on Maple Street. Following the voice, I ventured into the basement with Dr. Blackwood by my side. An icy chill met us as we descended, each step creaking under our weight. The voice grew louder, guiding us into the dimly lit cellar. And there, at the foot of the stairs, we saw her, a faint ghostly figure, barely visible but unmistakably there. Dr. Blackwood activated a device that emitted a soft, brilliant light. It was like nothing I'd ever seen before. The light revealed the apparition's true form, a young girl in tattered clothing, her eyes brimming with a haunting sadness. Her gaze was fixed on me as she softly repeated my name. "Emily," she implored, "please, help me." A sense of dread washed over me, but there was also a profound sense of empathy. This was not a malevolent entity. This was a lost soul, trapped in an eternal limbo, yearning for release. With Dr. Blackwood's guidance, we initiated a seance right there in the basement. The air grew thick as we began, the ghostly girl's presence becoming more apparent. Through the seance, we uncovered her tragic story, one of betrayal, heartbreak, and unresolved pain. She was an innocent victim of circumstances beyond her control, her life cut short by those she trusted. Haunted by her own tragic end, she was trapped here, unable to move on. Her whispers were pleas for help, her actions a desperate attempt to communicate her sorrow. It was a chilling revelation, but it also provided us with a solution. We offered her the forgiveness she had been denied in life. We acknowledged her pain, her suffering, and we gave her the validation she so desperately sought. As we completed the seance, the air grew lighter. The ghostly girl's figure began to fade, her haunting gaze softening. A sense of relief washed over her face as she dissolved into the ether, finally released from her earthly ties. "Emily," she implored, "please help me." And in that basement on that eerie night, we did. We offered her forgiveness and freed her from the house. The energy in the air shifted almost immediately, the chill receding like fog under the morning sun. The house, once teeming with an inexplicable dread, now felt lighter. It was as if a heavy burden had been lifted off the old Victorian, allowing it to breathe freely for the first time in decades. Dr. Blackwood, who had witnessed countless hauntings, noted the transformation with a satisfied nod. "It's over," she said, her tone reflecting the calmness that had replaced the eerie tension. "She has moved on, found her peace. She is no longer an unseen tenant, but a free spirit." The days following the seance were refreshingly ordinary. The doors stayed shut, the furniture remained where we'd placed it, and the whispery voice that had once filled the silence was no more. The house on Maple Street was no longer a dwelling of spectral echoes, but a home filled with warmth and laughter. Mark, who had been skeptical from the start, finally let go of his doubts. He admitted that he'd been wrong, that there was more to the world than what met the eye. The experience had changed him, changed us. We had witnessed the extraordinary, felt the touch of the supernatural, and had come out the other side with a newfound understanding of the world beyond our own. In the end, we settled into our new home without fear. We filled the rooms with love and joy, erasing the traces of sorrow and despair that had once lingered. And while we moved on from the haunting, we did not forget. The memory of the unseen tenant remained, a reminder of the spectral encounter that had once shaken our lives. We remembered her not with fear, but with empathy and understanding. Her story, soaked in betrayal and unresolved pain, had touched our hearts, and in helping her, we had learned a valuable lesson about acceptance and forgiveness. Mark finally believed, and we settled in without fear. But I'll never forget the unseen tenant who sought solace in the living.